Hi everyone, welcome to the Female Thrive podcast. Welcome to a new episode. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. I'm speaking about how you can fill your cup and that you will always live your life from abundance so you can find your purpose and live the life you always wanted to have. Today we will talk about how you can validate yourself, trust yourself, and stop people pleasing. Are you dependent on people's opinions after you experience negative emotions? Or maybe you constantly need other people's decisions on the small things in life. For example, how you're supposed to behave, or how you're supposed to dress, what you need to post on your social media. Or maybe you are just upset because someone is not giving you the opinion that you actually wanted to hear. I will give you tips on how you can stop obsessing about what other people are thinking about you. How you can stop obsessing over man's validation, over your parents' validation, over your boss' validation, and overall just waiting for people to validate you for every single little thing you want to do. Because the thing is that if you wait around for other people's validation, you are going to wait a very long time. Because if you seek validation, you tell yourself that you don't trust yourself, but instead you rely on other people's opinions. So in the process, you will make decisions that you regret. And maybe you find a way of not even loving yourself, of not valuing yourself. And you know what is the worst part? No matter how much people will validate you, you still feel your life is not complete. There are 5 types of validation you can seek externally, which are romantic validation / male validation, social media validation, community validation, academic validation, emotional validation, and just validation from your family. And the reason you want validation is because you put your self-worth and your self-love outside of yourself. Because you fear, of being abandoned. And you need to understand that your fear of being abandoned, it's not your fault. Okay? Now, where is this feeling coming from? The reason you seek validation is that most probably you didn't have any kind of validation in your childhood. And that makes you feel abandoned. It can be caused through neglect from your family. Maybe your friends, they betrayed you. Maybe you were bullied. Maybe you were criticized a lot by your parents. Maybe teachers have told you are just not good enough in general, or that you need to perform better. And those things, like these traumatic experiences, they do have a significant effect on our brain development. And that ultimately leads to an altered self-perception in life. You see, it's not your fault. And I'm sorry that you had to go through what you went through. And that you didn't receive the validation when you needed it the most in your development. So because of all of this, what happens is that you will keep on chasing what is being expected from you. You're constantly chasing other people's wishes and expectations. But what you don't do is that you do something that is meant to be for you, that is good for you. For example, you want that promotion so your colleague can look up to you. You might want to settle for a family and marry as soon as possible because your parents expect you to. Maybe you want to get that guy to like you while you are not being yourself, while you are not feeling authentic, while you're bending yourself. Maybe you try to please your friends while neglecting your own needs. Now, despite how hard it has been for you, you need to understand that it is your responsibility to make your life better for your present self. It is your mission to be there for yourself, because I believe that everyone deserves a life they feel they can connect to, a mind that gives them peace, and a reassurance that every decision they take, they trust that this life, no matter what will happen, it will move on, and that everything will be okay. Because at the end of the day, you deserve to know that you are competent. You deserve to know that you are beautiful enough, that you are smart enough, and that you are worthy enough to make the decisions and live the life that you want, okay? And you do have the strength to deal with any consequences that you are facing. Understand that authenticity helps you to set boundaries. The definition of authenticity means that you are true to your own personality. You are true to your own values, to your spirit, regardless the pressure that you are under to act otherwise, regardless of whatever anyone is telling you. So if you don't have a strong sense of identity, then you don't know who you are. You are constantly on the look for the external things. You're constantly on the look for, people's opinion on situations, on circumstances, just to wait for confirmation and reassurance, just to wait for people to tell you who you are, what you are supposed to do. And I don't want that for you. You need to understand, if we stop abandoning ourselves, if we start to validate ourselves, and if we start what we want to do and finally just fill our own cup, we won't even need the external validation. And I keep on saying that you need to, like yourself, and you need to treat yourself right. Talk like the person you want to be. Walk like her, look like her, and think like her. Sometimes you need to decide what you want and just go through with it. Knowing it, being confident in yourself, and validating yourself. So create and be the person you like. I want you to write down the person you desire to be, the person you like yourself. How does she think? So you can like her. How is she talking to herself? Is she forgiving herself for whatever has happened in the past? When she speaks, how does she speak? So you can like her. What is her choice of vocabulary? Is she soft or is she aggressive? Is she judging or is she observing? And when she is by herself and no one watches her, how does she spend her time? Like, is she involved in social media gossip? Does she binge watch Netflix? Or is she trying to educate herself by maybe reading or watching documentaries? Like, just in general, what is this person curious about? You can extend those things to the way you dress, the way you present yourself. But what I'm saying is that ultimately, is that you need to create that person that you like yourself. And very important to be that person. Because when you like that person, you will automatically find it easier to set boundaries. You will automatically find it easier to tell people what you like and what you don't like. So next time, if someone, for example, is asking you something that you are hesitating, then think about before you answer. And think about, does this make you lose yourself in the process? Does it make you change the person you have created for yourself? Now, if you say yes all the time in any situation to everyone, just because out of fear, because you lose those people's validation, out of fear you could be abandoned, then really think twice before you answer. Okay? Think about how much you love the person you have created above anyone else. How much are you willing to sacrifice for someone you love to that extent? My next point is validation from men. When you lack self-love and confidence and a guy tells you you are beautiful, they tell you are maybe in the same vibe, you're not like the other girls and blah-de-da-de-da, then, this validation gives you such a strong dopamine hit. And understand that we all have been there, okay? But you need to understand that you are in control of being aware of this. Because getting validation from a man is the quickest and easiest thing a woman can get. So many women are fixating on bending their values, bending their personalities, doing beauty procedures they would actually not do for themselves, but only for men. Some women, they even go that far to neglect friendships because they only fixate on the validation of men. They would literally not be there for you when you need them the most, just because some random guy just didn't have a plan and called them last minute. And I don't want that for you. I want you to set your priorities right. And the reason behind all of this is because we live in the world that has brought up to fit into the ideal standard. And this, in combination with a self-esteem that is based on a shaken foundation, this is what makes you seek male validation constantly. And I can tell you one thing, if you rely on the validation of men, it will never be long term. You would chase one validation after another. Some people are going so far for men's validation, they would even neglect their role as mothers. They would even neglect their role as loyal wives, to the extent that they would even completely lose their own values. And that is actually sad, because this is something you might even regret in the long term, So what you need to do is that you need to take man off the pedestal and put yourself on it instead. Be that main character, no matter what a man is telling you. Because here's the thing, if a man you just met can affect you so much by telling you how beautiful you are and la-di-da-di-da. How much would it affect you if he starts to criticize you then? When it comes to men, you should least trust their words, but really trust their actions instead. How much are they showing up for you? How much are they keeping their words? Like, how often do they really keep what they promise? And also, just because another woman gets more male attention than you do, it does not take away your worth as a woman. Because the truth is that a man can tell you literally anything. Like, they can literally tell you anything to get you to do what he needs you to do. And for some, it is just part of the game. So I want you to protect your precious energy. And this is how you do it. First thing, interrupt your thoughts whenever you are fixating on male's attention. So for example, you think you need to be beautiful for men. Maybe you need to look good because you are in their environment. Maybe you need to wear more cleavage because, you know, there are a lot of men and you get this validation. Therefore, then you need to interrupt these thoughts. Because if you don't interrupt your thoughts, if you are not aware of them, if you're not aware of why you're doing the things you're doing, you might just take actions towards those thoughts. And it's like, you know, a wrong motivation. So you need to challenge yourself and stay in the present. If you happen to be with your friend in a beautiful place, in the nature, you're watching the sunset, and you are in the middle of a conversation, then focus on what is there. Focus on the here and now and what your actual intention was to go there. So interrupt your thoughts and put your attention outwards to your surroundings, to your friend, to your actual intention, instead of, you know, staying in the head, maybe looking around for men to simply looking at you. The next point is that you need to figure your attachment style. Why? Because if you constantly need male validation, you'd probably have an attachment issue. The unhealthy side is either the avoidant attachment style or anxious one. Both attachment styles regarding relationships, they share common traits such as fear of rejection, challenges in maintaining secure relationships, and just difficulty trusting others, which comes from the lack of trusting oneself. And therefore, that also leads you to seek validation from others because you actually cannot trust yourself. Another thing you can do is that you just detox from men, because maybe you find yourself in the stage where you just cannot focus on your life anymore because you're so obsessed over men's validation, because you're just waiting for that one text message to pop up, that you go from one talking stage to another, and you just lose your energy by doing so. You feel drained. So that's why you need to detox yourself. You know, take those 3 months, take this 6 months, take this 1 year. Find your purpose. Do something that fulfills your life, something you can be obsessed about, that no one can take away from you. And I promise, if you do that, you will build that self-esteem, you will build that confidence, and people who are meant to be in your life, they will be drawn into your life anyways, you know. And see it that way. You are doing something for yourself, and someone likes you for doing something for yourself. It's literally like a win-win situation if you see it like this. So you basically just filter out all the people who are not meant to be in your life, because you just so focus on the process and focus on your life goals. And, you know, I really recommend you to take this 30 days to detox from men, because within 30 days, you start to develop a habit. It's just the approximate time that we human need. If you need longer, if you need more time, you know, if you happen to be out of like a relationship, then take those 3 months, take this 1 year, whatever that is, that gives you enough time to reflect on, to go through your life, to know what you want. And if you realize that after 1 month you have started to form your habits, and that you start to be content with your life without contact with men, then you will start to love yourself. Then your self-validation has taken place. Then you realize that all the external validation from men is not even needed anymore. So things will always come when you don't need it the most. My next point is that you need to stop people pleasing. If you catch yourself constantly pleasing people or doing things for other people where you neglect your own needs, then you need to stop. If you keep on trying to impress people only so that they can like you, then what you do in that moment is that you're signaling your brain you are not good enough. You know, when I was young and when I was a student, I didn't have a lot of money, but I kept on lending my money to friends. And I remember that one time a friend asked me for money and I was short of money myself. But she said, okay, I cannot cover the rent. They probably need to move to another place and da-di-da-di-da. And so I was like, okay, just take my money. You know what happens? I just got so comfortable of disrespecting myself and what I needed just in order to help other people. But I want you to understand that sometimes God puts people in a very uncomfortable place. Like, for example, when you're short with money or like when you lose someone. And it's because they need to walk their path. God has put them there so they can learn and grow from it. And the thing is that you cannot be the hero all the time, because what you're doing is that you intervenes God's plan for them. You are taking away their growth. You're taking away their opportunity to grow, to become better. And sometimes people only can become better when they are by themselves and when they are thinking for themselves and trying to find a solution. And you know, of course, if you have the resources, if the person is very close to you, then do it. But understand that you need to respect yourself in the first place. You need to respect your needs. Your job is to take care of yourself first. You don't have to have this ongoing belief that you need to perform to earn other people's approval constantly. Because the thing is that seeking validation and getting their approval to like you, it's actually a behavior that can be very addicting, just seeking other people's approval, just so they can like you. So sit with yourself, find this solitude, find things how you can have fun with. And you know, over time you will, enjoy it a little by little, and then you will find that it is okay to be alone. And when you are alone and in solitude, I'm telling you one thing, your standards, they will go so high. Your standards for people in your life, they will change. Your standards for dating, they will change. Your standards for friendships, they will change. You will sort out so many people, like so many people. Here's the thing, if you love yourself when you are alone, then you choose only people who enhance the love you have for yourself instead of losing yourself in the process. And also, this is how you can set boundaries without fear. You will see if people are right for you, if they will respect your boundaries, or if they will feel just resentment towards you. Sometimes people got so used to you that you are nice to them that when you say no, and it's your right to say no, they will start to hate you, and they will just start to distance themselves from you. And that's okay. That's because they were not meant to be in your life. And it's normal. It's normal that people don't like you. People have different interests. They don't care. Some people are just generally haters. So instead of you asking yourself if people like you, ask yourself, do I even like them? And when they want to take advantage of you, then why do you even need them to like you? Find the right perspective. Maybe you spend too much attention to the details, and sometimes you miss the big picture. And this is what you do when you care too much. This is what makes your life stressful. This is what makes your life sometimes hard to live. And you need to put things in proper perspective, okay? Because life is just simply too short to spend time worrying about things that don't bring you further, that are literally nonsense. You simply cannot have everything you want, and you definitely cannot have everyone's approval. If we live by that value of wanting people's validation as a priority, then we will be literally just guided by that force every day, in every moment. So you need to cultivate that self-love, that love for yourself. Because if you value significance over growth, if you value significance over love that you have for yourself, a lot of time you will lose yourself, because you want people just to see you just because of that. And remember that other people, they worry as well. People, they literally spend 90% of that time thinking about what others are thinking about them. of how they look like, if people are judging them. This also means they actually have much less time to criticize you. You know, people go to work, they go home, they go to bed, they have their kids, they have their lives, they have their own worries. There is just not enough time to think about you, even though they give the impression that they might judge you because it was because of one interaction that you've seen or heard. So also understand that people will think about whatever they want to think about. There is no way to control other people's thoughts. They will keep thinking what they want to think. And if you cannot change the way people think, then why do you spend your time and energy trying to change it? And sometimes, you know, people literally, they just care about you so they can feel better about themselves. Like they just want to see how you're doing, if you are doing better than them or if you are less successful. You know, I used to know someone who I was friends with, and this person, like, up until today, they still ask about me, and they still ask my other friends, like, oh, how is she doing? You know, instead of asking me, how am I doing? Instead of texting me, how am I doing? And sometimes people, they just want to hear from us, like from another source, how you're doing, because they literally don't care about you. They just want to see that you are doing worse than them so they can feel better. So imagine the things you can accomplish if you spend your time, your energy on, you know, things that fulfill your life, on things that actually makes you happy, that gets you closer to your goals, that makes money, that gives, where you can contribute something back to the society, you know, something that is meaningful. Because here's the thing, if someone is treating you like a puppet, it only came that way because you allowed it to be. You impose limitations and restrictions on yourself by caring way too much about people's opinions and expectations. So you need to make the decisions that bring you further. You need to make the decisions that you can grow, that makes you happy, that fulfills your life. And your brain should be so full of passion and so full of your mission in life that whatever anybody has to say about you, it can never affect you because you are too focused on yourself, okay? And remember, rejection is normal. Losing people is normal. And outgrowing people is normal. Sometimes people, literally, they just stop to grow. So if you happen to grow a lot, and sometimes it feels lonely when you are growing a lot, when you are growing faster than your environment. But I want you to know that God gives us the people that are meant to be in our lives. Sometimes for a very long time, sometimes for a very short time. And it all has a reason why they were in your life. Sometimes they teach you something. Sometimes they will support you. You know, sometimes they just give you a certain type of direction. And sometimes your directions are not even aligned with each other. Just because you're like in these different stages of life, you are not vibing anymore. You can't receive each other's energy. And that's why it's very hard to communicate with them or just staying in touch with those people. And that's why, like, people are only as long in your life as their energy, as long as your energy allowed them to. And remember, there are 8 billion people out there. So if 2 or 3 people, or if even like a handful of people don't like you, go out there, go out to the world, find the people you are vibing with in a different place. Sometimes you not even outgrowing your friend circle, but you're outgrowing maybe the city you're living in, maybe the country you're living in. So don't settle for less just because you're living in that place, okay? Because you need to view yourself like this. You need to understand your value. You need to understand you are that diamond. You are rare for people. You are a luxury. It's a luxury for people to even know you. You know, if you have a high value, you are becoming more exclusive. You are not meant to be for everyone because not everyone can afford to be in your life. Not everyone can be around you because not everyone has done the work themselves enough to have the same vibrational pattern as you do. And you need to start seeing yourself that way, you know. If you level up, I understand it can feel very lonely at the beginning. But you know, it's better to be lonely than having all kinds of random people in your life who literally just drains their energy out of you. Or maybe they just bringing you down on their energy level just because they haven't done the work themselves, just because they haven't been growing enough themselves. So just don't let everyone in your life. You are not a trash collector. You cannot allow everyone to come into your life and just drain your energy, especially not those people. Another point about is that if you keep all the energy to yourself, soon you will realize how much energy you actually have for the people who actually are meant to be for you, your close friends, your family, like literally people who sincerely, they want you to be better, and not people who are just nosy about your business just so they can make themselves feel better than you do. So how do you give yourself that validation? You are the only one that knows yourself inside and out, not your parents, not your siblings, not your colleagues. It's only you. Why? Because you know what's behind the facade. Because if you think about it, if you interact with your friends, if you interact with your parents, if you interact with your partner, you have in every different scenario a different filter on. And only you know what is behind the filter. Because you know your true self. No one knows yourself as much as you do know yourself. And people perceive you as they will have perceived their own lives. They will perceive you based on their upbringings, based on their traumas, based on their experiences. What happens is that people can also just project their own traumas onto you. So that's why you need to understand that their validation is sometimes not even real. Like, sometimes they can give you wrong opinions. They can give you wrong advice because they cannot know it better. And that's why it is important for you to pause whenever you're triggered. Whenever you're triggered by your emotions, whenever you think you can't hold that emotion, pause instead of, calling your best friend, instead of calling your mother. And take that time really to sort out your thoughts, sort out the emotions. Like, what do you feel? And later on, you can still share it with them. And that's why, just start to practice dealing with your own emotions as they are. Journal it down. How do you feel? What comes up? What comes into your mind? Don't filter yourself. Just don't stick to any guidelines, just write those things down. For example, I pray 5 times a day. And for me, it's the time where I talk to God. And if you don't believe in God, then, just talk to the universe or whatever you are believing in. But saying things out loud or praying and having this monologue, sometimes new things are just coming up. Like things that you hope to hear from the people that you want to actually reach out. But it's kind of like your intuition already knew it beforehand. Like it already tells you, it kind of communicates with your conscious mind. And that's the amazing thing about it. You already know the answer. Your intuition already knows the answer, but you need to take the time so your intuition can actually talk to you. And what I do when I pray, I say those things out loud, all the questions, all the answers I have. I make it in a process that I literally just talk and talk and talk and talk. So, just sometimes tell yourself, it's okay that you overreacted. It's okay to feel the way you feel. It's okay to cry. It's okay to think what you think. It's okay. Tell yourself, we will get through this. Everything will be better. It's only a matter of time, and patience is required right now. Because the nice thing is that if you meditate, if you pray, it actually calms down your nervous system. It can shut down your fight and flight response. It literally brings you back into your body. It connects your mind and your body so you can be more rational, so you can be less reactive and just become less angry. When I was in therapy and I told my therapist I felt guilty for certain things that I didn't do, being there for a family member, because I was in a very dark place myself. And I told my therapist that I think I'm a bad person. And he actually asked me, imagine you are giving this advice to a friend. Would you also tell her she should feel bad about it, or that she is a bad person herself? And I think this is, how you should see things. This is how you should talk to yourself. Ask yourself, how would you give this advice to a very good friend that is very close to you? And forgive yourself. Be good to yourself. Have that patience. Take that time. You are worth your energy. You are worth knowing that trust is innate. You are worth the love. So you see that the feeling you are seeking in someone else, the feeling that you are waiting for someone else to give you, it's already inside of you. It is innate. We don't always make the right decisions, and it's okay. But once we make a decision, then we need to learn how to navigate with that. And then we try and we hope to make that decision right. So I hope this episode has helped you further. And I really want you to cultivate that love, to love yourself, to always remember that this feeling is already inside you. You don't need to seek it externally, okay? And I wish you all the best, and I will see you next time.